bit about myself. I went to undergrad at Vanderbilt University and medical college at Medical College of Georgia in Augusta, and I'm currently a resident physician at the Medical College of Georgia. A little bit about why we're making these videos is really ever since I was 16 years old, I've been ultra passionate about health, nutrition, diet, just everything that goes into optimizing human potential and human health. And so since then, I've been devouring every book, research study, like audiobook, seminar, video, everything I can on the topic. It also inspired me to go to medical school. I love medical school, and it only furthered that passion for health and nutrition. I've seen how much people can do, the little things that they don't know that they can do that can really significantly change their lives. And there's so many of those tips. There's so many different things you can do, and that's what we're here to share. So that's our reason for making these videos. So the topic of this video is going to be covering the importance of sleep and optimizing your sleep. Now, some of you may have significant problems with insomnia, as up to 40% of Americans do on any given year. Some of you may have had chronic insomnia for years. Others may struggle with sleep from time to time. Some of you may even think you get decent sleep, but the data actually shows that even those of us that think we get decent sleep often aren't doing the best we can to get the most rejuvenating and revitalizing sleep that we can. So first, let's cover the most important aspects of sleep, which is why is sleep important in the first place. Sleep is one of the most foundational and fundamental aspects of human life. Without sleep, almost everything else you're doing, even if you're doing all the right things from your diet to exercise to lifestyle, won't make that much of a difference, because without sleep, our brain can't recover, our body can't recover, and it has effects on literally every organ system in the human body. So it's crucial that we're getting the right amount of sleep, but also the right quality of sleep, because just the right amount of sleep, you may be waking up 100 times, you may not be sleeping deeply, so you're not going to get the rejuvenating effects. And without sleep, research shows it increases your risk of dementia, increase your risk of heart disease. Almost every condition can be linked to poor sleep, or it can at least exacerbate it by poor sleep, because your body cannot recover. So to first understand the importance of sleep and how sleep works, we're going to go through the foundations of sleep, like what leads us to sleep, what hormones and neurotransmitters are affecting our sleep, and how we can optimize them to get the best sleep we can. So first one's probably something almost everyone has heard of, melatonin. It's a common over-the-counter supplement, but what melatonin actually is it's a hormone or a neurotransmitter produced deep in the brain, in your pineal gland. And it's produced and it signals to your brain not that it's time, not that you should go to sleep right then and there. It signals to your brain that it's nighttime. Historically, how melatonin, or not historically, but evolutionarily, how melatonin evolved was our eyes and our pineal gland developed to respond to light. In the past, the only light we had exposure to was our sun. And so when the sun would rise in the morning, our pineal gland would reduce the production of melatonin, so it would signal to our brain that it's day, and it would cause a whole cascade of events that made us feel alert, awake, and ready for the day. Versus at night, once the sun set, melatonin production would start to increase and peaking around 10 p.m. The reason being the sun would set around 6, 7 o'clock. Your body is preparing for sleep. And back then we had no artificial lights to artificially stimulate our eyes. So your pineal gland would increase melatonin production and you'd get ready for sleep, and it would make you start to feel sleepy. The next major neurotransmitter that we're going to discuss is adenosine. So adenosine and melatonin are basically teammates. They work together to help you get a good night's sleep. Melatonin tells your brain it's nighttime, whereas adenosine actually makes you feel sleepy. So as adenosine builds up in your brain, it exerts what's called sleep pressure, making you feel drowsy and lethargic and like passing out at night. And that's basically what adenosine does. So how adenosine works is it builds up starting when you first wake up in the morning. It's the lowest because you've just slept all night. And it builds up as you stay awake and do work and stuff throughout the day. And as it accumulates at night, as enough accumulates, you start to feel sleepy. For example, when you nap, it decreases the amount of adenosine in your brain. So every time you sleep, your brain reduces the amount of adenosine, which helps you feel more alert. And every time you stay up, it adds more adenosine, which makes you feel more sleepy over time. So it's important to balance and optimize how these two neurotransmitters work. melatonin, which is light sensitive, and adenosine, which builds up throughout the day, both of which we'll cover later on in this segment on how to optimize how both of these work. The third crucial component of sleep that we're going to cover is your glymphatic system. Up until recently, we didn't know that the brain even had a lymphatic system. So for those of you that don't know, your lymphatic system is this channels of vessels throughout your body that go in parallel to your blood vessels and your circulatory system that basically flow what's called lymph, which has your white blood cells and other fluids that basically help detoxify your body. They help your immune system fight viruses, bacteria, infections. They help activate your immune system and more. So we have that system all throughout our body, but up until recently, we didn't know we had it in our brains till we discovered it, and it was named the glymphatic system, similar to the lymphatic system. So how does this system work? Well, this system detoxifies all the toxic waste products that build up in your brain at night, during the day as you're working and doing all these things, any damage that accumulates, any amyloid, which is one of the proteins that build up in Alzheimer's, any of these things that accumulate throughout the day, at night your brain has a chance to clear them out. But it can only do that if you do certain things to optimize how you're sleeping, because the system requires a massive load of energy. So we'll cover that in our 8 key tips to optimize sleep. So now let's go into the heart of this video, which is the 8 key ways to optimize sleep. We went through the science, the outline of how sleep basically works and the key components of it. Now let's figure out how to actually optimize it. So the first one is something you've probably heard: get at least 8 hours of sleep a night. You don't have to get literally 8 hours of sleep a night. Every single person is different. It varies based on age, genetics, and your environment, what you're doing at the time, if you're really busy, if you're not really busy, if you're resting throughout the day, etc. There's lots of factors. There's no one right amount of sleep for everyone. But at a bare minimum, you should be getting 6 to 8 hours of sleep a night just to optimize your overall health. There was a massive study done, and that study showed that below 6 hours of sleep, there was an increased all-cause mortality. So that means when you're getting less than that amount of sleep, it's dying from any possible cause. There was an increase. There was also an increase above 10 hours. So sleeping too much also has its side effects. So try to get in that happy medium of at least 6 to 8 hours of sleep. The second key tip for powerful sleep is something called sleep hygiene. So you've probably heard of oral hygiene, all different types of hygiene, but sleep hygiene specifically is how you can have the best habits around sleep. So there's a lot of different tips that come under sleep hygiene. So the first and most important one is go to sleep at a consistent time, as often as possible. Of course, with our busy lives and everything going on, it's not always possible, but even on weekends, if you can go to sleep at a similar time and wake up at a similar time, your body, your mind, your brain, everything is prepared for that routine, and you actually get much deeper and better sleep. The other key is follow a consistent routine those last 30 minutes before you go to bed. It doesn't matter what it is. Ideally, it's calming activities like reading or praying, meditating, stretching, light stretching, and various other things that you enjoy that will help you kind of wind down at night. But follow the same routine. So don't do different things every single day before you sleep, because your brain really loves routine and winds down properly. So if you're used to, for example, stretching a little, going to brush your teeth, laying down in bed, reading a book till you fall asleep, perfect. Do that every night before you fall asleep and do that consistently. Another thing you can do is avoid daytime naps. While they may be refreshing sometimes, what naps do is they'll dissipate the amount of adenosine in your brain, which then will make you not feel sleepy at night. So then you'll end up staying up later, but then you won't sleep as much, you'll feel more tired the next morning, and continues a vicious cycle. So ideally, for good sleep at night, you don't want to take naps during the day. Another key is to get physically active. The more active you are throughout the day, the better you're gonna feel at night and ready to rest. You'll be tired, you'll want to go to sleep. Versus if you're not active, then you're not gonna feel very tired and you won't wanna go to sleep. Another thing with the physical activity though, to keep in mind, is you don't wanna do intense exercise after 6 p.m. if you're gonna go to sleep at 10 p.m. You wanna do it at least 4 or 5 hours before sleeping, because otherwise your body will still be all geared up after that physical exercise, and it's also gonna be difficult to go to sleep. Another great tip that goes under sleep hygiene is sleeping in a cool environment. We sleep much better when it's cool at night, so turn down the thermostat or sleep with a fan on, something that will give you a cooling environment in which you're comfortable and can go into deep sleep. And the last one is actually something very interesting. Getting exposure to sunlight throughout the day helps you sleep better at night because it syncs your circadian rhythms. So what are your circadian rhythms? We discussed the pineal gland earlier, which regulates melatonin production and also sleep-wake cycles. And it has a natural 24-hour rhythm and several other rhythms that it goes through that basically your body is in tune with the rhythms of the earth. And when the sun rises, it has certain effects. When the sun sets, it has certain effects. So getting exposed to sunlight basically syncs you with that natural rhythm of the earth. It syncs your body with that natural rhythm of the earth, allowing you to get great sleep at night. So that's the last tip under sleep hygiene. Tip number 3 is avoiding blue light. So for those of you that don't really know what I mean by blue light, most of the lights we use, the little spirally light bulbs, those are all blue light emitting. Our laptops, our cell phones, those all emit the blue light spectrum of light. So why are we supposed to avoid blue light? So evolutionarily, we evolved to mimic the cycles of the sun. So the sun emits a combination of blue light, red light, infrared light, amber light, and several other frequencies of light. And our eyes and our brains have evolved to match those frequencies. So blue light is the light the sun emits during the day. And it tells your body that it is daytime. It tells your mind that it's daytime, makes you alert, it makes you awake. And in the past, we would never see that light once the sun set. So our bodies knew it was time to go to sleep. It ramped up melatonin production and you were ready to go to sleep. But now with our screens, our laptops, our TVs, our phones, we're literally looking at blue light all the time. We have our lights on, there's blue light on all the time, and that makes you feel like it's an eternal daytime. And that's terrible for sleep. That's not gonna work if you're trying to get great sleep at night. So at least the last hour or 2 before bed, you want to avoid blue light, if at all possible. Ways to do that, there's blue light blocking glasses. You can buy them on Amazon, you can buy them on a ton of websites, you can just Google them. And ideally you want blue light blocking glasses that also cover the side of your eyes so blue light is not entering in from the side. Because some of the more stylish ones, they only cover the front. They look great, but you're not getting much of the health benefits there of blocking out the blue light and much of the sleep benefits. Another way you can do it is you can install red lights or red LED lights that you can use at night, maybe just those last hour before you go to bed. And if you're reading or something, you can find red lights that you can read with. That will help your brain maximize its melatonin production and help you get a good night of sleep. Tip number 4 is oral hygiene. So that means brushing your teeth, flossing, cleaning your mouth at night. Now, why is oral hygiene related to sleep? That's a question I commonly get. But oral hygiene actually has significant effects on your whole body. When you brush your teeth at night, when you floss, you reduce body-wide inflammation. And inflammation is linked to pretty much every disease that exists. And it makes your brain more inflamed, so you're not getting as good sleep at night. So if you want to improve your overall sleep and wake up more refreshed the next morning, brush your teeth for at least 2 minutes. Ideally, use an electric toothbrush, which will help you get significantly more brush strokes and remove more plaque. You can also, you should also, floss, if not every night, at least every other day. Flossing every other day in some studies has shown to be equally as effective health-wise as flossing every day. So those are the 2 key components to oral hygiene for optimized sleep. And it only takes 2 to 3 minutes, and it's a great investment if you ask me. All right, tip number 5, avoiding caffeine. Now, this one's a tough one. I know a lot of us love our coffee. Some of us can't even live without it. We may even be addicted to it. But when it comes to sleep, it's actually incredibly important to understand how caffeine works and the effects it has on your brain. And at the least, to do it right. So caffeine works on the same neurotransmitter we talked about earlier, adenosine, and it's what's called an adenosine antagonist, meaning it basically blocks the receptors for adenosine so your brain doesn't get the signal from it. That doesn't mean the adenosine has gone away. That doesn't mean you're not exhausted. It just gives you the illusion that you're not tired. And that makes you feel good. That makes you feel like you can study longer and do whatever else you need to do. But by just blocking adenosine is still accumulating and you're still exhausted. So caffeine has a 5-hour half-life, varies based on person to person, based on their genetics and how they process it. But that means after 5 hours, half of the caffeine is still in your system. meaning you really don't want to have caffeine later on in the day. For example, a cup of coffee might have up to 200 milligrams of caffeine, and any caffeine in your system will interfere with sleep. So when we're thinking about caffeine, you really want to stick to having it before noon, and you really should not be having any caffeine after noon if you're trying to sleep at a normal time, because let's say you have 200 milligrams of caffeine at noon. You're looking at 5 hours later, so at 5 o'clock, you'll still have 100 milligrams in your system. And 5 hours after that, let's say you're going to sleep at 10, there's still 50 milligrams of caffeine in your system. That's more than a cup of green tea will give you. So that will interfere with your sleep. It'll make you feel not tired then, even though you may be, and your brain may be telling you to go to sleep, but the caffeine is interfering with it. So you really do want to avoid caffeine, especially after noon, if at all possible. And if you really struggle with sleep, try to avoid it altogether. And there are fantastic alternatives to caffeine that you can actually use that are life-changing. One of them is a nutritional supplement compound called T-creen. It's extracted from the Chinese kucha leaf tea, and it works similarly to caffeine, but not identical. And the benefits of T-creen are the fact that it actually gives you a significantly longer half-life than caffeine, but unlike caffeine, it does not interfere with sleep. Actually, low-dose T-creen has even been used as a sleep aid by a lot of people. So if you take T-creen, for example, in the morning, not only does it not affect your sleep, but it actually has a significantly longer half-life, which makes that focus, that energy, all of the things you love about caffeine last significantly longer. For caffeine, it may be 1 to 2 hours. For T-creen, it can last longer than 8 hours in many cases. And it's been clinically studied. It's been clinically proven for its effects. So it's a wonderful compound. Check it out. The ideal dose to take is around 200 milligrams. Tip number 6, eat your last meal at least 3 hours before bed. This is really important because of the glymphatic system we discussed earlier. As I mentioned, it consumes a massive amount of energy, and if your body is busy digesting food at night, all of that energy and that blood flow is going down to your gut and not up to your brain where it needs to go to help detox your brain from all those amyloid precursors and all the other things accumulating in there that are going to interfere with your sleep as well as damage your brain long term. So you want to make sure you're not eating those last 3 hours before sleep, so all of that energy can go to your brain and all of that blood flow can go to your brain. One other component of that is getting enough sleep. So if you don't eat at least 3 hours before bed and you get that 6 to 8 hours of sleep, your brain has a good long stretch where it can use all that blood flow, all that energy to detox it of all the things that are accumulating in there. Tip number 7, take these key supplements for sleep. So we've explored all these different supplements. There's research on lots of them, but these are the 4 best ones to help you get a great night's sleep. The first one is glycine. Glycine is an amino acid. It's been shown to improve sleep by reducing your core body temperature, which helps cool you off at night and helps you get a good night of sleep. It also decreases muscle tension and decreases how long it takes for you to fall asleep, while also reducing next morning daytime sleepiness and fatigue. So that's a great one to take, and it also has a nice sweet taste, so it's also kind of fun to take. The next one is melatonin. So melatonin, we've already discussed a bunch of times, but you can actually take melatonin as a supplement. The problem with melatonin is almost everyone takes it wrong. You want to be taking between 0.3 and 0.5 milligrams of melatonin, which is basically what's called the physiologic dose. That's what your brain naturally produces at night. And most of the evidence shows higher doses actually interfere with sleep and they make you wake up early in the morning or feel kind of groggy the next morning. So you want to actually stick to 0.3 to 0.5. So this is definitely not a case where more is better. You want to get the right amount and that will give you the best sleep. Magnesium is our third one. So magnesium is a great supplement. Not only is it great for sleep, it's great for your health. Magnesium is used in over several hundred reactions in the body. It's a cofactor for many enzymes. It's great for your health. And what magnesium does is it helps calm and relax our muscles. It loosens our muscles up and prepares us for a good night's sleep. And it also soothes our nerves, also preparing us for a good night's sleep. And the last one is a good probiotic. By taking a good probiotic, you basically are balancing your gut. And what most people don't know is actually there are more signals going from your gut up to your brain than there are coming down from your brain to your gut. So the state of your gut bacteria and your gut health has a huge effect on your brain, your mood, your sleep through what's called the gut-brain axis. So taking a good probiotic helps balance out your gut, helps reduce inflammation, and helps you get great sleep at night. So those are the 4 key supplements we would recommend for getting a fantastic night's sleep. Last but not least, we have tip number 8, which is teas for sleep. Teas are a wonderful way to soothe yourself down for a great night's sleep. And they can also be a wonderful part of a sleep hygiene routine. So you can make your cup of tea and grab a book and wrap up at night if that's something you enjoy. It's a very soothing thing. The first tea that we'll discuss is actually incredibly popular, and I'm sure you've probably heard of it. It's called chamomile tea. Chamomile is a leaf that is incredibly calming to your mind and reduces anxiety, which helps you get a great night of sleep. That effect happens through an antioxidant that actually contains, which is very powerful, called apigenin, which has beneficial effects on the brain. The next 2 both work through the same mechanism. They both affect a calming neurotransmitter called GABA in the brain, which helps improve sleep. And those are valerian root, which has been used for centuries, and lemon balm. So those are the next 2. And then the last one is the passion flower tea. That one's one of my personal favorites. It's got a great taste, it's got a great color, and it's been studied for its ability to promote sleep and can actually be combined with valerian root, the tea we mentioned earlier, to actually have a pretty powerful synergistic effect on sleep. Certain studies have even shown a combination of passion flower and valerian root to be as effective as certain prescription sleep aids. So that's a wonderful combination to try if you like tea and you want to get a great night's sleep. So there you have it. Those are our 8 powerful tips for optimizing sleep. Start with 1, start with all 8. That's your choice, but the more you implement, the better you'll feel and the more results you'll see, often starting with the first day. As we know, getting a great night of sleep can literally change how we feel the next day. It can improve our moods, it can boost our energy levels, make us more productive, just make the day a whole lot more fun. So start implementing them and let us know the results you get. Also wanted to give a huge shout out to the team at My Peak for helping put these videos together. A little bit about My Peak. It's a company that I co-founded with a team of physicians to help people optimize their health and reach their highest potential. If you want to learn more, you can always check it out at the link below.